Getting a title shot in the UFC involves racking up victories over top fighters in the division impressively. Some fighters have done very well in their title shots, where they were able to win UFC Gold. However, some title shots haven't gone so well, where fighters lost their title fight in a brutal fashion. So here is 10 disastrous title shots in the UFC. Number 10. Junior Dos Santos earned his second title shot against then UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez after defeating Mark Hunt by knockout via a spinning hook kick in the third round at UFC 160. In their first fight at UFC on Fox 1, Junior Dos Santos knocked Cain Velasquez out in the first round to become the new UFC heavyweight champion of the world. In their second fight at UFC 155, Cain Velasquez absolutely dominated the whole fight from start to finish, punishing Junior Dos Santos from round to round to win the fight by a unanimous decision. In their third fight at UFC 166, Cain Velasquez bloodied him up, punishing him against the fence and mixed his striking with his takedowns. In the fifth round, Junior Dos Santos fell on his head and wasn't defending himself, where the TKO victory was given to Cain Velasquez. Number 9. Antonio Silva earned his title shot against then UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez in a rematch after defeating both Travis Brown and Alistair Overeem in a devastating fashion. In their first fight at UFC 146, Cain Velasquez violently mauled Antonio Silva in the first round, leaving him in a pool of blood. They both met at UFC 166, where in the fight, Antonio Silva took his time, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Cain Velasquez eventually landed a heavy right hand, dropping Antonio Silva to the canvas, where he landed strikes whilst holding on to him to finish the fight by TKO in the first round. Number 8. Yushin Okami earned his title shot against then UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva after defeating Nate Marquardt by a unanimous decision at UFC 122. Both fighters had fought in the Rumble of the Rock, where Anderson Silva was disqualified after he landed an illegal upkick. Both fighters met at UFC 134, where in the fight, Yushin Okami was trying his best to keep Anderson Silva pinned against the fence, where he was landing strikes to slow him down. In the second round, Anderson Silva came out aggressive, where he landed a hard right hook, dropping him to the canvas. He rained down punches to win the fight by TKO in the second round to retain his title. Number 7. Anderson Silva was given an immediate rematch against then UFC middleweight champion Chris Weidman at UFC 168. In their first fight at UFC 162, Anderson Silva was knocked out with a solid left hook from Chris Weidman, where he lost his UFC middleweight title. In the second fight at UFC 168, Chris Weidman rocked Anderson Silva early and took the fight to the ground for the remainder of the first round. In the second round, Anderson Silva picked up the pace and threw a hard leg kick, but Chris Weidman checked the kick, which broke Anderson Silva's left fibula and tibia. The fight was immediately stopped, where the TKO victory was given to Chris Weidman. Number 6. Henry Cejudo was given his title shot against the UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson after he defeated Jesse Formiga by a unanimous decision at UFC Fight Night 78. He had an Olympic gold medal in freestyle wrestling, where many had thought they would present unique problems for Demetrius Johnson. Both fighters met at UFC 197, where in the fight, Henry Cejudo was able to take Demetrius Johnson down for a brief moment. DJ was able to get back to his feet quickly, where both fighters entered the clinch. Demetrius Johnson landed hard knees to the body of Henry Cejudo and landed a clean knee to his face, stunning him. He landed another knee to his body, which dropped Henry Cejudo to the canvas, where he rained down punches to win the fight by TKO in the first round. Number 5. Donald Cerrone was given his title shot against then UFC lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos in a rematch after putting together an 8-fight winning streak, defeating the top lightweights in the division. Both fighters first met at UFC Fight Night 27, where Rafael dos Anjos won the fight by a unanimous decision. Both fighters met for the second time at UFC on Fox 17, where in the fight, Rafael dos Anjos came out aggressive, where he landed a hard body kick followed up with some punches, which stunned Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone went for a takedown, in which Rafael dos Anjos was able to stuff it. He held on to Donald Cerrone whilst raining down punches, where Donald Cerrone wasn't defending himself, and the TKO victory was given to Rafael dos Anjos. Number 4. Chael Sonnen was given his title shot against then UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Jones after he stepped in on short notice at UFC 151. Jon Jones declined to fight him and the event was cancelled. Chael Sonnen started talking trash about Jon Jones, and this incident caught a lot of attention, where the UFC let both fighters coach a season of The Ultimate Fighter, where they eventually faced off at UFC 159. In the fight, Jon Jones was able to take Chael Sonnen down early in the first round, where he had pinned him up against the fence and started raining down vicious elbows, finishing him by TKO in the first round. Number 3. Ronda Rousey was given a title shot against the current UFC bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes after she had been the dominant champion in the bantamweight division, where she had defended her title 6 times. Ronda Rousey was coming into this fight with a 1-year layoff, whereas Amanda Nunes had kept herself busy, where she had dominantly finished Miesha Tate at UFC 200 to become the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world. Both fighters met at UFC 207, where in the fight, Amanda Nunes brutalized Ronda Rousey on the feet, throwing heavy bombs, which had Ronda Rousey wobbling all over the place. After failing to defend herself, referee Herb Dean was forced to stop the fight, and the TKO victory was given to Amanda Nunes. Number 2. Alexis Davis was given a title shot against then UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey after she defeated Jessica Ai by a split decision at UFC 170. Alexis Davis had put together 3 solid wins in the UFC where she had completely dominated her opponents. Both Alexis Davis and Ronda Rousey met at UFC 175, where in the fight, Ronda Rousey stunned Alexis Davis with a heavy right hand where she judo flipped her to the canvas and threw continuous strikes to win the fight in just 16 seconds of the first round. Number 1. Kat Zingano was given a title shot against then UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey after she dominantly defeated Miesha Tate at the Ultimate Fighter 70 finale and dominantly defeated Amanda Nunes at UFC 178. Many had thought that Kat Zingano would be the toughest test for Ronda Rousey as she had violently defeated all of her opponents. Both fighters met at UFC 184 where in the fight, Kat Zingano rushed in towards Ronda Rousey with a flying knee and tried to pin her to the ground. Ronda Rousey reversed the position and was able to lock in a straight armbar, forcing the tap in just 14 seconds of the first round.